Long time, man. Too long of a time since we've done a live recruiting chat with Warchant.com senior recruiting analyst Michael Langston over there. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll be taking your questions over the next 45 minutes, hour. We'll see how entertaining things get in the chat. Thank you for joining us as always. Check out Warchant.com. All the hard work that Matt Lasser and Michael Langston are doing over on the premium recruiting board. A lot of the stuff's going to be familiar to you folks on the PRB, but some of you that haven't made the dive to join Warchant.com, you might learn some things. So we hope you enjoy that. Michael, thanks for doing this. Do you have a small favor to ask of people before we dive into all the information you're about to unload?
Oh, the only favor I ever ask is you hit the like button and help us promote these great events. You got the Seminole Warchant Rap with Corey and Ira after practice. So many things that are coming up. Spring football got a first game coming up against Alabama. So there's a lot of exciting stuff that we have going on from a video standpoint. So definitely hit the like button for us.
Only 143 days away from kickoff against Alabama. It'll be here before you know it, boys and girls.
And we don't know anything. Yeah. We're going to be like a lot of people. We're seeing what we're going to see. So it's exciting.
Have you heard anything, Michael? I know this is a recruiting chat, but have you heard anything about the way the team's practicing?
I've heard a lot of different things of people that are there. I won't disclose who they are, but they were there. And they said the organization and the tempo and the intensity is a lot higher and a lot more crisp and a lot more fluid than what they had saw a year ago with these new coaching hires. I think it's really ignited kind of what they look like from an outside perspective of people that view it that maybe don't see FSU all the time, but that's the wording I've heard is a lot about that. Heard a lot about this Kevin Sperry guy. I'm not gonna lie, I heard a lot of good things about the way he's looking so far, and I get it, pump the brakes, freshman, but I've heard he's looked really sharp.
It's just crazy. Like, imagine if you're Oklahoma and they have a bad season this year, and like Kevin Sperry comes into like one or two games because like Tommy gets his helmet knocked off and he does something crazy, and it's like, we could have had him and we walked away from him. So we'll see how it all shakes out. The one thing I found interesting walking to practice or walking to interviews on Tuesday, and I passed by you, and you would know this because you guys are camped out. Mm-hmm. But they're not having the music on as much or nearly as loud, which I'm not going to complain about. You people get mad about it, but it's just I've always been. I want to hear the soundtrack of football practice at football practice. I want to hear people cheering. I want to hear thuds. Like I want to hear all that kind of stuff. And on Tuesday, I think because the weather was really nice out, but they were practicing outside for. I can't remember them practicing outside this spring. They've usually been in the IPF, but like you could hear. I don't know what they were doing because they've got whatever tarps on the chain link fence, so you can't see what's going on, but you could hear them cheering each other on during plays that I did not hear last year at all.
Yeah,
and I don't know, it's because they had the music on, so maybe they didn't feel it. I mean, they'd get excited, they'd hoop and holler here and there, but there was a primal roar. They're like, all right, man, these guys seem like they're angry and mad and a bunch of rabid dogs. So I was excited to hear that.
Yeah, and even then, we talked to four-star wide receiver Devin Carter, who's the legacy recruit, Dexter Carter's son. He was there, and he's like, "Look, man, you really see the energy, and it's really fast-paced. Everything they do, and you see a more engagement. I think overall, that's the kind of wording I've got from most people of whether you like the offense or defense. There's engagement. As you pointed out, you hear a lot more yelling because we're waiting outside. There's a lot more yelling and a lot more you hear the stuff of football, going on that we have heard before. So, yeah, I definitely think there's a difference. Hopefully that translates to wins on the field, but overall, that's kind of the feedback I've gotten from people that have been there. It's like it's a much different feel than what it was a year ago.
All right, well, let's get to recruiting. That's what people are here for. Oh, man, there's so many names. You mentioned Devin Carter. We've got stories with Deuce Geralds. We've got stories about Demarius Yates. I guess let's just start kind of big picture before we maybe go into some particulars here, Michael. But just, this is what Mike Norvell likes to do. He likes having spring practice later on in the day so that he can invite these prospects to come out and watch them practice. Obviously, these kids can't come out at 9 a.m. in the middle of October because they're in school, but their school's done for the day. They can come down to Tallahassee and kind of check out what's going on. just in terms of maybe like volume of guys they're bringing in, caliber of players they're bringing in, and just the overall kind of sense you're getting about whether it's their recruiting organization, the tweaks they did that, or what these kids are telling in the interviews? What has kind of been your big picture takeaway about how recruiting is going thus far right now for Florida State?
Yeah, the volume itself has been very good as far as the spring visits. I think overall there is definitely a different connection to when you talk about offensive linemen, Herb Hand development. We hear a lot about that. You got Tony White who really connects with people, and I think the guy that's done the best is Evan Cooper, the safeties coach, who I've heard the most about him with recruits. So I think overall they're hitting on what they want now. And kind of Steve Wilfong touched on this when we did a roundtable with him. The kids have to see it against another opponent. Kids have to see, and I think once that starts happening, if it does, I think then you'll start seeing some juice flying, for FSU. But I think a lot of guys are excited. They like the organization, they like everything, but I think they also want to see, hey, can these is was last year just a fluke? And I think most recruits think it was a fluke from last year. That was very uncommon, for FSU. So I think the excitement level has been very good. The buzz has been very good, and I think for me, Aslan, I'm just focused on that quarterback spot. That I think that translates to everything with your class, and certainly FSU's looking for one. Had one already visit, Jaden O'Neal, who I think's certainly one to keep an eye on. But overall, for me, it all starts with that quarterback position because once you get that, it just seems to trickle down from there, where everything seems to fall into place once you have that guy.
All right. I know there were some names that you guys were throwing out a few weeks ago. I mean, not even a few weeks. Time flies, it feels like at this point in the year,
Yeah.
although for some people it goes really slow. But I mean, there's a bunch of names that are being thrown around. And I think O'Neal kind of maybe was one of maybe the second or the third name to surface. Is he like the bell cow this entire cycle right now? It looks like he's a consensus 4-star, number 1 overall prospect in the state of Oklahoma, number 11 quarterback for this cycle out of Mustang, Oklahoma, 6'3", 200-pound quarterback.
Yeah, the Bo Bentley's another guy. It was a target for FSU, but that slipped away. Narrowed it to 3, and FSU wasn't in it. Bo Bentley's likely going to commit to Oklahoma. That makes me think this is going to open up for Jaden O'Neal. There's already a previous relationship there. They know him really well. Visited FSU for a practice, which is very big. The other guy, I would say, there are actually two other guys. First one would be Landon Duckworth. He looks like a solid lean to Ole Miss, but FSU. I would say it's pretty likely that FSU gets him on campus soon, from what I hear. Gus has a lot of ties with him, previously recruiting him when he was at UCF, so there's certainly ties there. What Gus has done with Cam Newton when he was there, that attracts very attractive to Landon. So I think really with Landon, it's about getting that visit in and FSU catching up and making a push. But with Jaden O'Neal, I think that would, for me, probably most likely just because he's already visited. Likely going to take an official visit to FSU for sure. And then those are the focus. And then the kind of the dark horse for me is Travis Burgess, who visited last weekend. Really, really good dual threat guy. Auburn's also involved with him as well. So that's a guy that I feel like you could hear more and more about, later as the process goes on. But those are kind of the three that I've kind of honed in on, Aslan.
Is Duckworth one of the three, or is it
Yes,
just
yeah.
okay?
It's Duckworth, Jaden O'Neal, and Travis Burgess.
Okay,
Those are the
all right.
those are the three that I feel like probably the most intention is on right now. So it's very important for FSU to get a quarterback. I think by the summer sometime. I think you need to get that done to really help you create the whole vibe that you want during the season. So very important for them to get it done this summer, and we'll see.
My gosh, we just got bombarded again. I think with all that spam, knocked him out though. Dropped the nuke on him.
There you go.
Bunker buster, I think. Um, Burgess, man, what a frame.
Hmm.
6'5", 184. That's
He's
me, but like
impressive, and
4 inches
and I
taller.
saw him in person, and we talked to him afterwards, and I think he's a great talent. I like his film. I like the different things he does. Certainly a guy that can do a little bit of everything, and that's a guy that personally, if I was FSU, I would already offer and make a push, just to put yourself in the picture. But the fact that he visited without an offer says a lot about his interest level at FSU, and that's one that I'm certainly keeping an eye on because I think there's some really good ties with the new staff that they brought in, and he's a guy that I think certainly you definitely need to keep an eye on going forward. About FSU being in the picture.
Good program, Grayson. Still, I assume, right? I mean, I know they were rolling
Yes,
like
yeah,
10 years ago or
yeah.
so.
No, they're still a pretty good power. As you can see, really good arm strength, even on the run and in the pocket. He's a guy that I've loved his film for quite a while, and then certainly one that's athletic enough can make plays with his legs. So he's a guy that really to know, especially to me, it's like going through recruiting. It's like when you get kids that visit that don't have an offer, there's a reason behind that, and they're coming in to visit, so they are very intrigued by that program, and something about them connects with them, whether it's the ties they had or just overall how they would fit into everything. And he seems to be a Gus guy. Where you look at his his passes, everything's quick and going. He knows where he wants to go with the ball. Definitely powerful arm, and certainly a guy that's mobile and athletic. So he kind of is one that I've gotten excited about the last 2 or 3 weeks when I really started studying his stuff after once he visited FSU.
Not trying to start anything here, Michael, but let me try to start something.
Okay.
Is is there a difference between a quarterback that's a good fit for Gus Malzahn and a quarterback that's a good fit for Mike Norvell?
That's a good question. I mean, considering Gus is going to be running the offense, I think it's more. I think what they will do is go after the guy that fits Gus.
Yeah.
Because Gus is going to run the offense. Obviously, Mike's got to be comfortable with it and sign off on it and everything and all that stuff. But I think at the end of the day, the quarterback you pick is going to be one that can run, Gus's offense. And so I think Gus will be a big part of it, probably a bigger part if I had to guess and speculate.
That's my insinuation, which is I do wonder, like, but there's a transfer portal and everything. It's like I wonder if Gus is still
Hmm.
going to be here in like 3 years. So, like, if you're a
Yep.
high school quarterback, is Gus really going to be here for all 3 years? Maybe, maybe
Yep.
not. But like, I come here and I like him so much, like I'll go with him wherever. So I don't care. I just, good problems obviously if Gus ends up being a attractive
Yeah.
candidate to somebody. So, my guy Mike Meyer
It
telling me to
it's a
start it, but
tricky it's yeah it's a tricky dynamic to what you're doing. It's
yeah.
tricky.
Yeah.
So definitely an interesting conversation.
You folks get involved here. Join the conversation. Post your comments here in the YouTube chat. We'll pop up on the screen. Michael Langston will break it down for you. Our guy, Jacob Carlton, not sure if there's any relation to Steve Carlton. Cam Brooks, who's the leader right now? Cal? Cal's in the mix for Cam Brooks?
They are. They are.
What?
They're one of the teams. I would lean a little more towards FSU right now, Jacob. Ohio State's made a push, but I've heard a lot of good things as far as what he saw from practice, the connection he has with Florida State. I do think Ohio State's the biggest threat. I don't think Cal is like Cal is an attractive thing for academics because Cam likes academics and that's important to him. But I think at the end of the day, if you look at teams and relationship, I think FSU probably a little bit higher than Ohio State and in the others right now.
6'2 and a half, 225. And this kid's from Thomas County Central. Obviously, that's right up the road. You want to be
Yep.
able to hold on to it. I mean, I feel good if your competition is the reigning national champions and then a school that's 4,000 miles away. I
Hmm.
feel like Florida State's probably still in a pretty good position for a guy like this, because I do think some of that Ohio State stuff, I get it. Like, they just won a national championship. It is a good program, obviously,
Right. Right.
but let's see if they've got 2 losses in the middle of November and he's up there on a typical gray, gloomy day. He's like, yeah, do I really want to play here? But where is he, do you think, in terms of like a priority for Florida State defensively, Michael?
Oh, they love him. They want him. They had Tony White go over there to the school immediately when I mean, just got in there immediately. Mike Norvell visited the school. They've certainly made him a priority. Got him over what I thought was really essential for FSU to get him for a spring practice. He did that. He loved it. He loves that he's a guy that wants to rush the passer. So I think there those three schools, but there's also other schools like Clemson, Tennessee that are also in the picture as well. But I think overall, they have definitely made him a priority, and it's just about finishing it. He has an official visit to FSU in June. That's one that I think you can really set the bar and set the maybe even get a have him on commit watch as far as if everything clicks. So I think that's a big moment for FSU when they get him in for that official visit where he gets to see everything, because he grew up a big FSU fan. That is definitely a plus, and he's close to home, and so you really just have to show him what you're going to do and how he would fit into that and why FSU is the best fit. And I think once if they do that and they nail it with official visit, it's hard for me to see you know them not at the very least being the favorite going into the rest of the visits.
Let's go to our guy down there in the Villages, Wesley Todd, aka just Wes from the Villages. Yo, Aslan and Michael, since there's no spring scrimmage for fans, which by the way, like, a lot of us, feeling bad for ourselves not being able to have a spring game makes sense. Stadium's under construction, but we see all these other schools also
Yeah.
not having spring games because maybe they're going to showcase their players and they go in the portal, which is malarkey because those kids can cut up practice video and send it to anybody they want. Their best
Hmm.
friend can reach out to a coach on Twitter and be like, hey, man, how much would you offer him if you wanted to leave? But anyways, I digress.
Yeah.
But that last, the Garden and Gold Spring Showcase, whatever they've been calling it the last few years, it has always been kind of a big deal for recruiting. They won't be scrimmaging at all this weekend, but the following weekend, the 19th, that Saturday, that'll be the last practice of spring. So
Right.
without fans, will they still be hosting recruits around that time? And if so, how many do you expect to maybe show up on that weekend, Michael?
You talking about the final scrimmage?
Yeah, the 19th, I
Yeah, I
guess.
mean they'll be I expect like 25, around there. They've been pretty consistent, Wes, about guys being on campus, and um, we've done that every day where I'm doing something every day where if there's a practice, there's usually at least one or two in there, and then sometimes like yesterday, four or five that are really really good. But I think consistently, yeah, there's going to be certainly a lot more. I think you'll see a lot more coming that maybe have already visited before. Um, and certainly we'll when we get to that point, we'll post it on, we'll name those guys. But yeah, I do think there's going to be a good group for that last scrimmage. There'll be a lot, and I think certainly it's why it's so important for FSU to get Landon Duckworth in the month of April for a visit. He already has an official visit set, but to me, if you're only taking one visit to a school and you haven't unofficially visited, make it's hard for me to really consider you like a major threat until that one unofficial visit happens. Once that happens, then okay, hey, it's on. But that's why it's so essential for to get these guys on campus as much as possible. Um, I think Aslan mentioned at the beginning Deuce Gerald's. That's a guy they got on a couple times in the spring, and now they're starting to move up that list with him. So I think spring visits are a must if you're really if that recruit is serious about FSU, and I think for the most part they've done that. Landon's kind of the last one I'm waiting to see kind of want him to experience kind of what the offense looks like because I think it tailors him really well.
All right. Calendar is always changing. It sounds like, Michael. It's evolving. Our guy out there in Hawaii, which I don't know, was like 1 o'clock in Hawaii right now. How big of a final recruiting rankings bump will we get when we beat Alabama?
Nice.
Which I ask you, Michael,
He's
I
already
mean, how
saying
many
it.
guys do you think they'll have committed going into the season?
Yeah, I don't. I think they'll get a few. I don't know. I can't put a number on it, Aslan. I think there'll be some. Maybe I don't
They
know,
got
man. I
eight
don't.
right now. They've got eight. They've got eight
Yeah, I don't.
commitments
I
right
don't. I don't want to put like a drastic number. I just think they'll get some. Maybe
now.
six or so, six or seven, maybe. And then I think during the seasons, like I've said at the beginning, I think that's where they're really going to capitalize. Definitely you will see a big group coming in for this Alabama game. Like there will be like I can almost based on what I'm hearing of what kind of the numbers will be, don't be surprised if it's up there at 70 or 80. So I expect a big group for that weekend. FSU in my lifetime has never played Alabama in Tallahassee that I've watched. So I know this is a big moment for a lot of recruits, and so there's going to be a lot of attraction with that game. So it's definitely a big moment for the team, but it's even certainly just as big for recruiting. So I think if you win that game, certainly you're going to get some serious strong momentum off that weekend. So yeah, I think probably leads to several commits if you can do that. I think that's really what a lot of recruits are waiting to see is the product against somebody else. They see it in practice, looks great, organized, intensity, everything you look for. Coaching's good, on point with stuff. Energy is there, but I think recruits want to see kind of the results, and that would be a result that would move the needle certainly heavily. And so that's where I think during the season is really where FSU is going to make the meat of their big pickups.
This feels like Groundhog Day, man. It's well, listen, 2020, 2021, like, hey,
Yeah,
gotta show them good product, and you win the last 6 games in 2022, you win the first 13 games of 2023, and then like they weren't able to capitalize on that. So, but I
it
guess you got some different guys. You got Herb Hand, looking at some offensive linemen. You got Gus Malzahn. You got Tony White. Is just, I mean, at this point, I mean, this is it. This is like a line in the sand moment here, where they just have to figure out a way to get back into having consistent top 10 high school recruiting class.
they
Just
do. Uh,
has to happen.
and I think they have some good really solid recruiters on the staff, but and it reminds me of when LSU played FSU in New Orleans. The feeling is kind of similar to that. Like you need something to energize to start the season.
Mm.
And I remember going into that game, I'm like, man, I really don't think they're going to win this game because they were 5-7 the previous year, like an inch away from being like 4-8 if Parchment doesn't catch that pass from Jordan Travis and score or get to the line. And then it seemed like there was some buzz from it, and I think this was even harder because they were 2-10, and there really wasn't anything you could say that was good. So I think overall, it just has that feeling of this is a big moment for them to showcase like, yeah, this is a different program than what you guys saw last year.
Hmm. New Smyrna Beach Knoll, possibly NSB Knoll. Uh, Portal window opens up in like a week or so, I think.
Yeah, April 16th
Do you
from
think
what I was told.
offensive line is something they kick the tires on in the portal when it does open, Michael?
I think they see somebody that they want and jump on, and that fits kind of say if there's a tackle, really good tackle that they feel like, you know what, this guy makes us better. We have to have him in there. Then they'll do that. But I look at more best available. I think defensive line, safety is probably the two heaviest places that I think they'll focus on. When that portal opens, I do think yes, NSB no, they will take a guy if he checks off. Like if he's so dynamic that they feel like they can't live without him, and he's better than possibly what they have already or what they've seen so far in the spring. Yeah, I think they'll jump at it, but that's really a wait and see. There's not like a one I know for sure, but yeah, and that goes for other positions too. I think if they see somebody that moves the needle with your team, they're gonna go. They're gonna go for it. They're gonna be aggressive. That was the one wording I was told with this portal window. They're gonna be aggressive if they see one and see something, a position that they really need to add on.
How about the here and now? You got to be a member of warchant.com, really, Jack, but I admire you trying to get some free info out of our guy, Michael. What do you have to say to Jack here, asking about what about the kids who are on campus today visiting?
Yeah, the two Texas A&M commits. Matt has a story, by the way, coming up. Good segue there, Jack, to kind of lead into. Matt was up there. He's gonna, certainly have a good story. I think 4-star wide receiver and a 4-star edge that was there. I would just wait for that to come out, Jack. I don't want to speak for Matt because Matt talked to him, but based on what I've heard around the visit, sounds like it was really well. Sounds like FSU is going to get a official visit out of Aaron Gregory and Jordan
Carter.
Carter. I think those are two that I do think they'll get official visit. And it sounds like they've been connected and working on these guys for a while. So this is kind of this isn't like a surprise that they were on campus, maybe surprise to fans, but I think it wasn't a surprise based on their previous relationship with both of these cats. I think both of them have certainly had a previous connection. So I'll just wait for the story. I've kind of saw a little bit of it, but it sounds pretty good. Sounds like they certainly made an impression, but I'll let that come out. But overall, I'm sure Matt's going to chime in on the PRB and he'll give his thoughts on kind of what his feeling was after he interviewed both of them because I don't want to speak for Matt when he interviewed them.
Two kids from Douglas County, Georgia. So when you do hear Texas A&M commits, you're like, oh, come on. But yeah, I mean, they're, not right up the road, but they're much closer to Tallahassee than they are College Station. Jordan Carter, a 6'3", 235-pound edge rusher. Aaron Gregory, meanwhile, 6'2", 170-pound receiver. Number 9 receiver
Yeah.
in the entire country for this cycle, 72 overall.
Same school as Devin Carter, by the way. Same school, who visited a day earlier. So there you go. Real men, huh?
Aaron Gregory, a wide receiver. Is he on your short list? Grillmaster asks, who's your favorite receiver prospect they're going for right now?
Yeah, I would say Brandon Bennett out of American Heritage, 4-star wide receiver. He's one that I know they like a lot. They've certainly pushed hard for. Samarian Wingo is another one out of St. Augustine that they've spent a lot of time. I think FSU has a really solid shot at both of those guys. There's other prospects like I think Aaron Gregg will be in the mix there, but those are two that I feel like FSU. They're definitely going to officially visit FSU. I think both of them are very high on FSU. I think there's some good momentum building inside those recruitments. There's a lot more other recruits, but those are ones that are two that stand out to me right now.
When's the last time we got? I mean, I guess Hakeem, right? Like we got like a really elite wide receiver out of the high school level. But again, listen, the concern, if there's any, concern is probably way too strong of a word, but Gus has not exactly developed a slew of 1,000-yard receivers. So you would wonder what kind of interest level you would get from receivers. But I mean, these guys that you're dropping here are dudes that are ranked like on the top, I mean, Wingo's on the top 200, but
yeah, definitely.
Gregory is. Bennett's one of the top guys in the state of Florida. So
yeah, and I would definitely throw Devin Carter in there. They're going to get an official visit from him in early June, so that's another one that's thrown in the mix. There's a lot of them, but I wanted to list those two because I think those two are the ones that I think they're moving the needle with.
Look at that. Don't give it all away, Matt. But Matt Lasser checking in from who knows where. It was good. Still work to do, like where they are with Carter, better than Gregory. All right, look at that. I can't believe we just did that. How are we going to survive all these tariffs if we're just giving away free information, Matt? Pull it back.
I like it. Matt does a great job. I mean, I don't think we speak enough on that. Really does great teamwork, does great recruiting stuff, does a lot of different, like a Swift Army knife, as Tom Lang likes to call them. A lot of stuff, good stuff, and just has really grown on stuff. Just getting used to everything with the new NIL era and just adjusting to kind of how recruiting is going now. It's a little different.
Let's go to Tomcat Michael. Just your opinion, but are you seeing a difference in the size of the offensive lineman Herb Hand is going after?
I mean, a little, but not a lot, Tom. I think overall, I think the difference is the amount of times that I hear about, even days after the visit, of development with Herb Hand. He has a history of doing that where they didn't get that before. I didn't hear that as frequently. You hear that a lot with Herb Ham. He connects with players really well. Kids like the way he coaches. Kids like the practices when they're there, and they can see and envision themselves inside that offensive line or with that offensive line of kind of what they're doing. And kids love offensive linemen. Yeah, there's some that pass pro that love it, but kids offensive linemen for the most part, the ones I've dealt with, they love to run block. They love to run block, and we know that's what Gus is kind of his pedigree. He wants to run the ball, and I think that's an attractive thing. But it's just about how Herb develops them and just the way he connects with offensive line recruits and even players. I think is the thing that I've noticed the most, Tom.
Is Sam Greer still an option?
No, he's committed to Ohio State.
Ugh. He was at one time on a hot board, maybe. He's a
He
big
might
dude.
still officially visit, but yeah, I think he's been a guy that we felt like would go to Ohio State. I think both me and Matt felt that way.
What about Lamar Brown?
Yes, he's officially visiting on that June 6th weekend. 5-star, certainly one that he's
Yeah.
also Texas A&M's kind of the team. You know, we mentioned Texas A&M and LSU is always important when you're talking about University Lab over there in Louisiana. They're always two major teams there. So those are the big two threats. So he will visit in the early June. So that's definitely a guy that they're gonna keep on. Was a 5-star, now he's a 4-star. So I guess that means FSU will probably get him now, Aslan. I don't know. I'm joking, but I'm joking. But overall, yeah, the offensive line room I've been very impressed with, Aslan. I think it looks great. I think they're going to accomplish what they want and getting 4 or 5 guys. I think the room is settling up pretty well. Already have a legacy recruit in Michael Anonata. So I think overall they're accomplishing what they want. Also have Xavier Payne in there, who they like a lot, who was really connected with Herb Hand. So I think guys like Sam Roseborough is one that's a 4-star. He's out of Clearwater. He's one that Hand has some good connections with. So there's a lot of talent. I feel pretty good about that room going into the summer and into the season. I feel pretty good about what they're doing already with the offensive line so far.
Shout out Clearwater High School, home of Luke Laux.
There you go.
6'5", 260. Yes, I mean, neither of the guys that we just popped up are gigantic, but I mean, other than Maurice, they really haven't had any undersized. I guess maybe Darius really wasn't
Yeah.
nearly like maybe as stout as you want, but other than that, Jeremiah Byers is a pretty big dude. Richard Leonard was a big dude. KJ Jones was a big dude. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's the whole thing. Is the pendulum swings, and you go after these huge guys, and it's like, oh, we're not athletic enough, and we can't get to the second level and make enough
Yeah.
blocks. And it's always a
That's why I
tricky
say,
thing.
yeah, that's why I say it's more important of what the credentials are of him
Yeah.
in what showing than really the size. The size is like it gets people excited because
Yeah.
hey, they're big, but if they don't do it and they're not productive, it doesn't matter how big they are. So I think it's really that's why I've really harped on kind of his credentials of development, the way he teaches, his connectability with players. I've seen that a lot. I won't say who, but there's a few players that I know that like him a lot. They like his style. They like the way he coaches. They learn a lot. It's quicker as far as how they pick up stuff. So I think it's been a pretty positive, response when it comes to Herb Hand and what he's done so far.
Hang tight, Bubba Griffith. We're going to come back to you in a second, big dog. But shout out to Patrick Penny,
Yeah.
apparently a new member of the YouTube only variety, members only. Let's give him some. Let's give him a soundtrack. Hey, Penny. He's got
Welcome,
a question.
Patrick.
He's got a question as well,
Oh,
Michael.
fire away.
Justin Williams, receiver athlete from Buckholtz. Is that how you pronounce
Yeah.
that place in Gainesville?
Buchholz. Buchholz.
Buchholtz.
Gainesville Buchholz.
He's legit. He's 1,000-yard receiver and 1,000-yard rusher. FSU is on him hard, but on 3, not so much. He's
He's a 4-star.
281 overall. He's the 40th
Yep.
best prospect in the entire state of Florida. That's not too bad. I mean, let's see here. Is consensus 4-star. Our former network has him as a 3-star. We have him as a 3-star on 3, and then 2 other networks have him as a 4-star. So,
Yeah. First off, Patrick, they're on him. They're on him pretty well. He's going to officially visit FSU in June. Visit in the spring as well. Like I said, he kind of checked off those boxes of I want to see a spring visit and I want to see then I can see the official visit. They want him bad, and I could tell Justin's very high on FSU. I wouldn't worry, Patrick, about the ranking. I've seen this kid as far as his film, really good, like really good. You will not have to worry about rankings. I think by the time it's done, I think he's a guy that consensus will be a consensus 4-star. He's a guy that does a little bit of everything. Obviously, FSU likes guys that we've seen that with the addition of Javion Boggs, just make they're playmakers, and this kid kind of fits that. pretty good speed. But what he does in space is what really that I like the most. He's so quick in space, and then he has pull away speed that's really good. Just a tough kid, a great player, and
Ooh,
he's
did you
I
see
don't.
that?
Yeah, I saw it. I saw that probably like 2 weeks ago. Yeah, like I said, this kid is special. I mean, you want game breakers, and FSU likes him a lot. He's kind of a new name, and I think he's getting new on the picture. But Patrick, I said, I think consensus 4-star. I think that I would be surprised if he isn't that by the time this all shakes out.
Deceptive speed, maybe. Doesn't look very like fast flash on camera, but he's running away from everybody. So that's always a good thing. 5'11 and a half, 190. So he's got some decent size. He's not like undersized. I mean, look at that catch. That's incredible right there. Shout
Yeah,
out to the drone usage at that high school, by the
I
way.
tell you, man, that's really good
Um,
stuff. And then you get him 1-on-1, 50-50 ball, goes get it. He's just a playmaker. I mean, that's the way I describe. People ask me about Justin. I say, look, the guy's just a playmaker. He just makes plays. He's got speed, he's got what you want, but he does a little bit of everything. You want him to high point a ball, he'll go get it. You want him to catch it in space and turn a play and do the little flip and spin for like a 70-yard touchdown kickoff return. He can do that. Just a guy that does a wide variety of things. I do think I think it's important to state that I think he is a receiver. I think that's where his future is, even though we see a lot of running stuff in here. But that's good. That's kind of I could see why FSU likes him because FSU likes those versatile guys that can do a little bit of everything, kind of like what Jalen Lucas does. For FSU, running back sometimes, receiver other times. So there's a lot of different features I think this kid can bring as far as the offense. He's a tough kid too.
Patrick says thanks.
You got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Take him to a camp, right? Go to a camp. Maybe your stock goes up a little bit or whatever. I don't know. Sometimes people like email me like, hey, man, like, how can I get my ranking up? I'm like, that's not me. I don't do that. I'm not that guy.
I get like 50 of those. Good job, Aslan.
I'm sure. Yeah. God,
You
I
only
can't
get one.
imagine. Yeah.
No, I don't think this is a kid that even needs to camp. I think people know about him. I think it's just more about people getting eyes on him on a regular season. Even though we have there's some really good film there. I think he will get where I think we expect him to be. But main thing is FSU keeping the pressure on. Like I said, he's visiting officially in June. That tells you a lot about how FSU feels and covets him.
Jacobs Carlton's back. It reminds me of who's the one guy we had? Timmy. Remember we had Timmy that would just come here and just like ask us for all the questions, and then he would just take it to his blog and try to act like he was an inside. I'm kidding, Timmy. But Jacob's very active today. Florida safety Gregory Smith just entered the portal. Do you think we go after him? Did you say safety was a position that maybe they kicked the tires?
I did say safety.
Okay. Well, there's a name for you.
I don't know a lot about his history, how productive he was, how much he played.
I'm pulling up his PFF, so stand by.
Yeah.
We'll see how it works out.
We'll do a little live breakdown here, and I can tell you kind of my feelings there.
Putting way too much pressure on me, man.
You're good at this stuff, Aslan.
All right, let's see here. He played last year in 5 games, did not start, but he played 100 snaps in those 5 games. He played 49 against the Noles. He graded out at 79.7 tackling, but 60.1 overall. He graded out at 64.1 in 100 snaps last year. So,
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think if you're going at a premier position, you're going to want a guy that stands out. Like there's another one that I know he's more of a cornerback, but I think Markevius Brown is one that entered the portal that I'm pretty high on. But he's a corner, not a safety. Safety's more probably what they need. But I think you want more, not have to be a game changer. You don't have to be like a 5-star transfer portal guy, but just needs to be somebody that I think is very productive if you're going to add a position of need, either defensive line or safety. I think you're going to want a guy that you feel you can insert in there. It's going to change your team. I don't know if that guy does with Gregory. I don't see that, with the playing time. And just what Aslan's read off, but I'll check on it. I mean, that's the best I can say.
Do you have the script that we're using this week, Michael? We have scripts usually where we do a Zoom and then we we talk about what our script is going to be for that week, and we talk about no matter what we think, this is what we're all going to say. So Bubba Griffith just asked for us not to lie this year. So
Really?
we'll try to do a better job of coordinating our lies, or maybe we won't do any lying at all this year. Will you promise not to lie this year, Michael? After all the lies last year, will you promise?
That's an interesting way of making a statement. Assuming people are lying because they're giving you their honest opinion.
Well, I don't think you really, recruiting, you never seem to be over the moon for what they were going to be. Like, listen, there's a bunch of guys that had interest and they were going to come on campus and they were going to visit. They did not commit. If we're talking
They're 2 and
about
10. They're 2 and 10. You're going to expect to get a lot of kids when you're 2 and 10. It's not. Everything I told you, Bubba, was the truth of where things stood. Every step of the way. Every step of the way. When and they were able to pour some nice, really ads at the end. But to sit there and critique something that was 2 and 10, of course it's going to change for a lot of guys where it didn't go as smoothly for the finish end, to get a top 10, top 15 class. But product matters, when you're out there to that level.
Listen, Ira tried to tell us, he's like, guys, they're not going to be good this year. And Corey and I were like, and Jeff Cameron were like, no, we need to push back against that narrative, Ira. We need to create a false narrative that they're going to be awesome. Ira tried to warn us, but we're like, no, we want to lie. Yep. We're going to lie about it for like a good 3 months.
I think I'd tell Bubba is I'm always going to give you direct stuff. If I don't feel they can get a kid, I'll tell you. If I feel like it's trending away, I'll tell you. If I feel like they're going to get a kid, I've done that. I get the frustration. This sounds like more of a frustration statement of what happened last year.
Or just Grill Master.
Yeah.
Things not working out. Yeah. All right. All right. Yeah.
That's more
well said, Grill Master.
Yeah.
Well said, Grill Master. I'll let you cater my backyard barbecue. Let's pick it back up. Also, all in fun, Jess, hopefully, Bubba. Hopefully you're laughing at this. Hector Cartagena. He apologizes if this has already been asked and answered. Well, don't. It hasn't. Which is crazy. We made it 42 minutes and 43 seconds before somebody asked about linebackers. Might be a record, Michael.
It might be.
Do we have any traction with Caps, elite linebackers, 5-star dudes we might be in on? Appreciate it. Coming from Plant City, Florida. Go Noles. 6 shish kebabs. 5 shish kebabs.
I don't have 5 stars, Hector, but I definitely feel a lot better about what I've seen at the linebacker recruiting this year. Very, very, very excited. 4-star TJ White's one I feel really good about. They're trying to flip Xavier Griffin, who they've had on campus twice a few times in the spring. I think FSU will get an official visit there. I think there's probably like 6 or 7 that they're heavily involved with. They're in there. I think this is going to be a solid linebacker class. I cannot say that. You didn't hear me say that in the previous years, and that's nothing against the previous coaches, but the feeling is much different because Tony White is a former linebackers coach, so he impacts it a lot. But then JP moving over to outside linebackers, I think has really helped them out a lot, and they're on a ton of solid linebackers. And this is probably the first time I can say in like 3 or 4 years, maybe longer, that they're actually you feel connection that hey, they can get 3 or 4 guys in this class or whatever number they want to hit on. I'm very impressed with linebacker. I'll put linebacker right below safety personally, what they're doing so far this year in the recruiting cycle. So I've been very impressed with the job JP's done, and also Tony White adding in his piece. So I think you're gonna get some good solid talent. I think in this 2026 class at linebacker.
This really should be the Michael Langston show, but we call it the recruiting chat. I don't want to hijack your show, Michael, but I'm going to hijack it for about a minute here. So Bubba says, y'all did say this time last year, the strongest, fastest team since Norvell has been there. My life is riding on the Alabama. I want to play this clip from May 21st of last year on the Ari Wasserman show, who's now part of the On3 network. This is the head coach. This is what he said. Oh, somebody says they hear no sound. There's no
Yeah,
sound?
I don't hear anything.
Oh, you haven't heard it?
No, I was reading the what he was
Oh,
saying.
all right. Well, shoot. No sound. I goofed that all up. I'm a failure. Yeah,
So
he said in that
so
interview
so
that.
Bubba's talking about the team part of it
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
in
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah,
recruiting
yeah.
chat.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha, Bubba. Gotcha.
So yeah, said that this is the fastest team that I've had since we've been here. So, um, sorry, Bubba. Apologize. He
I
was mad. He was mad this past year, yesterday though. So, um, he's coming around. He's figuring out the buttons to push the head coach. All right, next question here. Let's go back to Jacob. Deuce Gerald's real chance to land him.
I
Feels like
think
we're on the
there's some.
outside looking in.
No, I don't think they're outside looking in. I think they're certainly a team he's genuine about. I think the best thing I could say is there's momentum certainly now after the second spring visit that he took on Wednesday, or is it Tuesday? Tuesday. I think it was a really good visit. I think Ohio State's still the team, but I think they got some competition now.
All right. Oh, Collins Hill.
Oh, Matt.
Bad memories, Collins Hill.
Oh, don't get me started. You
Man, the
had to
guy's got
bring
some
that up,
eyebrows
didn't
on him, though.
you? You had
Nice
to
and
bring
pretty.
that up, didn't you, Aslan?
No, it just kind of stood out. Rick Brown says, "What's up, Michael?"
Just working, man, grinding, doing good, man. Hope to see you soon. Oh, by the way, Aslan, I had to tell. I know you would like this. Like
Mm.
that, my wife Diane is in Hawaii, and
Oh, nice.
she's actually picking up Ralph from the airport.
What?
Yeah, so she's gonna hang with Ralph and stuff. But shout out to Ralph if you're watching later, man. We miss you. We hope you're doing good.
Yeah, he pops in with some comments on the podcast every now and then.
Cool.
It's good to see him. He's always doing like we posted at midnight. And he's commenting, but it's like 5 o'clock in Hawaii at
Yeah,
that point.
I know.
But yeah, it's good. It's good times. All right, let's see if we got any other questions here on the show.
Let's do it.
Trying to find it. Just trying hard. I think we're running low on questions. Can you believe that? Can't believe it. Well, Carol's got a question.
There we
Big
go.
picture question. Shout out to Carol. Is there any change in tactics, which hopefully are for the betterment of keeping commitments when they happen, in the entire recruiting process with this new staff and new coaches? In other words, is it better overall in the process of recruiting with the new coaches?
To answer it simply, yes, it is. They do a very good job of. I think I said in the off season they need to be much more aggressive in the high school market. I've seen that. I think they need to be aggressive with NIL. I get the feeling that's happening. As far as what I've heard behind the scenes. I think the relationships and the person connectability is much stronger. Even when the kids that are committed, they stay on these guys. They're not just they commit and they just don't talk to them for a while. They recruit their commitments harder than they do even the guys that maybe they're trying to add to this class. So overall, yes, the betterment there, but a lot of the betterment of keeping commits is don't go 2-10. So they can hopefully control that with their team and at the products. Like I said, the product's just good. It's solid. I think overall, they're not going to have a problem recruiting. Especially, I go back to that Alabama game. Man, if they win that game, it would be such a shot in the arm for them. For just going into the season because it sets the tone. Then now everyone wants to come see FSU play. They want to see this team. This team excites me. I like that Thomas guy at quarterback, and I want to see the running game. I really like their aggressiveness of how they want to run the ball and control the line of scrimmage. So it I've seen this shift so quick when it comes to what you did the previous year. You can greatly shift that from a new staff, and we've seen that at a lot of different places. And I think FSU is no different, but they just got to show it.
Well said. By the way, I mean, I'm not letting this go. Not letting go. Not letting it go, man. I'm just telling you. Just telling you.
By the way, I mean, I
How
remember
would real quick, real quick? Sorry, Michael.
Okay, go ahead.
How would I know they're the strongest and fastest team they've ever had? How would any of us know? We're not in the weight room. We don't have the data. We won't make this kind of stuff up. Sorry, I'm done, Michael. I promise. There we go.
No, you're good. I just my point is like I think Ira really reiterated that hey, this team's not going to be that great. So when you say all of you, I think you just took something and then and I get it. I'm not harping on Bubba. Bubba, we love you. You're awesome. We
Moving
appreciate
on.
you being on the show. Everything, but I understand there's frustration, but taking it out on the wrong people.
I'm fine. I just clarify. I
No,
know it sounds like I'm not okay with it because I keep talking about it, but I'm hey, listen, I was wrong. I didn't lie to y'all. I was wrong. I was really wrong. I was really, really wrong. Didn't lie to y'all. I'm like, I looked because Tom was in New York last year during most of the preseason. I'd watch the offensive line. Like I would do the trench observations. I'm like, they're looking pretty good, man. They're pushing dudes around, which made me a little bit nervous about the scrimmage stuff they were talking about because they said that there wasn't a lot of big running plays. But there was a lot of like 3 to 6 yard gains, which is like, that's what we said last year. Like, they're not going to have the home run stuff that Trey Benson had, but it seems like they're going to have a lot more, like singles and doubles. They might not have the home runs, but they're going to have the singles and the doubles, which they clearly did not have. So I did not lie to you. I was wrong. I was wrong. But Michael, going to that Alabama game, I feel like, a month ago, I'm like, I'm going to be so annoying to listen to when it comes to the Alabama game, because I'm going to go back and forth. I'm going to be like, either, hey, listen, they lose that game, it's not the end of the world. Just make sure you beat Virginia 3 weeks later because you got Kent State and East Texas. It's like win your conference games, get to Charlotte, try to get into the playoff that way. Losing to Alabama doesn't matter. But then there's days where I'm like, man, they have got to beat Alabama, because if they don't beat it's just, you talk about product on the field, because after that game, it's 2 cupcakes, maybe a bye week, and then Virginia on a Friday night on the road, or maybe the bye weeks after Virginia. So like, where are you at right now in terms of not maybe where this team's going to go, but in terms of like recruiting? Are we overselling how important the Alabama game is going to be, or is it really going to be a huge kind of barometer and springboard for what the recruiting season could be for Florida State based on the outcome of that game?
I don't think their recruiting's going to fall off the face of the earth, but it's a big moment. I think they need this game. I think because you don't play anybody that's going to move the needle until when you get into ACC play and stuff like that, or when you play at say Clemson or somebody like that. It's something that can move the needle, and I think it even move the needle if you're very competitive. If it's a really close game and FSU loses like a field goal or something, I think that will move too. But the kids need to see that you need to deliver with your product. There needs to be a deliverance of that they can have something to grasp onto. Losing is not the end of the world, but winning, that would dramatically, I think, certainly give you a shot in the arm, big one. But they need to show up. They need to show out. And show up and show out. And it's a big moment. It's a big opportunity for them. So that's the way I look at this game. But I think I don't want to say it's a must win because you have a full season, but from a recruiting perspective, it would really set the tone for your season.
You ain't wrong, man. You ain't wrong. Bubba's still here. Love Bubba. I love when people. It's That's crazy cool. Amount of times people will say like a really innocuous comment in the chat, and then I'll go on a tirade and be really mean spirited, and then they're still here and like, yeah, what's up? And I was like, that's awesome. It's great. Yeah. Love it. You're not as sensitive as I am. It's good to know.
I think everyone's pissed, Bubba. But nobody's saying that losing to Alabama doesn't matter. It does.
He says it would be catastrophic. See, it won't be catastrophic. Come on, Bubba. It won't. Unless you live in Headland, Alabama, or something like that, it might be pretty miserable. But otherwise, we'll be all right.
Yes, they need to win the game, but let's not act like it's like they lose that game. What if they win every other game after that, Bubba? What does that mean?
Oh, that's what we said after they lost to Virginia Tech.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. You're illustrating the whole season off one game. If you put everything into one game, whether you win or lose it, you're going to hurt. So I'm going to say it right now, Aslan. I'm just going to say it. I think they win the season.
Let's go.
I think they win it. I think they win that game.
He doesn't even want the points.
No,
Michael doesn't even want the 11.5.
I don't care about the points. I think they're winning that game. I think they're going to win the season opener. There you go, Bubba. You're welcome.
Thank you for taking all these questions, Michael. We're done. It's dried out. It's about been an hour. I'm starving. I haven't had anything to eat in a long time. And as Jacob points out astutely, if we don't beat Alabama, Michael lied. So thanks, Michael. You're on the hook. You're on the hook now.
Yeah, I'm playing. I didn't know I was playing in the game, but I'm you know what? Life is about chances, and I just have a feeling about what I've heard behind it that FSU is gonna. I think they're gonna find a way to get it done.
Hey man, just win, baby. Just win. All right, that's a wrap for us. A reminder: we've got plenty of people that do recruiting at Warchant.com. A little bit of an oversell. It's Michael and Matt Lasser. Really, Matt Lasser been hanging out, catching up with a couple of Texas A&M commits that have been on campus. If you want to know what's going on with them, Matt Lasser's got you covered. We've got the hot boards that have been up there forever. Any big-time prospect that's been on campus here the last 4 weeks that they've had spring football, we've got photos, we've got updates. It's all over on the PRB. What else can people look forward to over the coming days and the next, week and a half here as spring football winds down, Michael?
Really just, the final visitors. I hate to keep harshing on it. The Landon Duckworth watch of visiting. That's going to be something we watch. And then there's close to around 50 official visitors now that they're going to have starting in May, on May 30th. So that's serious time when you start getting to official visits. So it's a great time to follow. And by the way, in May, I'm going to be hitting the road, and I'm going to a couple schools and going to hit up some guys and hit some top prospects, and maybe I can drag Aslan along with me.
Maybe. We'll see.
There you go.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We really appreciate it. If you could hit the thumbs up on the way out, might be too late because the live show will be over and then people won't see it. But hey, it still matters somehow in the algorithm. And listen, it's been crazy in the markets, everybody, right? Let's give our guys, let's give Michael, let's give us a shot in the arm here. Hit the thumbs up on the way out. Check out warchant.com. Thanks, everybody, for joining. For Michael, I'm Aslan. Stay connected to warchant.com, the ultimate Seminoles sports source. We'll talk to you in some way, shape, or form somewhere else on the internet very, very soon.